Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. Historically a good race for first victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the first time here. The Hungaroring, it's like Monaco without the boats. 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and some very tricky corners to deal with. These rainy conditions out there aren't going to help either, so it's very likely we'll see a safety car or two during today's race. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems...
Behind it seems like Louis Welch is looking up the inside of Andreas Dormer as they fly through turns 2 and number 3. They've all kept in formation further back behind, but there's contact between the drivers. Up at the rear is Ulas Zildjian going up the inside of Louis Welch and AJ Fournier. They're going to run side by side through 5, 6 and soon to be turn number 7. Who's going to yield? Who's going to come out on top? I think it's HX4K as there's bits of slide further up ahead. It seems like it's been a clean start mostly for these drivers, and it's been very intense for them at the moment, as I think Samuel Bean, no, he's not looking for a move, but it's been a pretty clean start altogether.
So far so good, yeah, no one has been left behind. There's a few squiggly moments where people are just deploying a few too many horses, but Stowlek has already got himself 8/10 of a gap over Paris Barrel. He's almost broken DRS in the first lap. My goodness me, he is storming away. Hopefully he's not using too much fuel or what have you. Yes, we've got 36 laps for him to be able to figure that out. Well, yeah, obviously he's going to have the fastest lap. What a start. Also, Samuel Bean had an absolute cracker. He nailed the clutch perfectly off the line and forces his way up into third. Not too many position changes. Villacampa down to the tail end. Houseman's gained only one though since the start. Getone has gone up 2. Zildjian and Welch have swapped round, as well as Sam Bean and Pedreño have swapped round and their positions as well. But at the moment the advantage is with Starolek. He's right there, isn't he? He's almost managed to do it, to break DRS back to Paris Barrel. You know the Ferrari is not under too much pressure from the Williams at the moment, so Starolek's just got to continue this pace, but he's using a lot of battery. But then that makes sense. He wants, DRS. I don't know, is DRS all that strong? I'm not. I have commentated a few times in Zandvoort, but not too many times in F1. I think only once before. I'm not sure DRS is all that effective here, but Starlake is just. I wonder whether he's thinking a lot on that 5-second gap, because look how much battery he's used. He's down to 30% or under that now, whereas Paris Barrel is just under half. And Sam Bean's got 86%, so Starlek has used a lot of battery to try and pull away. He's going to have to harvest some of that back.
That could come back to bite him towards the rear end of this race. A lot of this track is not under braking, you're going very quick at most points, so it's very difficult to avoid using up your battery. And if you use it all in one burst, well, that possibly could be... it could be a very bad sign later on in the race, but Starlet's got to do all he can, and he's got to take those risks to put himself higher up the order, and of course he is already at the top, as drivers not at the top fighting further back behind. I think Ulas Zildjian's just lost, 3 positions that is? He's lost it to HX4K, Sam McBride and Gary Fitz, and he's got Neon also hampering him at the moment. We've got the brilliant helicopter cam here, as I don't believe that Neon has been able to get the traction on the medium compound of the tyres. It seems like Tom Martinez also looking strong as well, right on board with the Alpine car to 2P, as Neon still remains in 11th position there.
Yeah, well driven. There was no impact there as well, so that was, it was a good attempt from Tom Martinez. But that's probably the strongest place that anyone's going to be able to make a pass, and you saw how difficult it is to do it. With the pace being so close, although no one's told Star like that, he's still dancing off into the distance. But he's really burnt a lot of battery. now into the clutches of Dylan Warren. Right behind there, Bainer and Jeff Ritchie having an argument and nearly come together on the start-finish line, screaming on down to turn one. That's on the inside line. My goodness me, he's brave, he's bold. I think he's managed to make it stick. Dylan Warren has now gone up into 13th position. Bear in mind, he's on the soft tyres. He's got to make that now gone up into 13th position. Bear in mind, he's on the soft tyres. He's got to make that move a little bit more. He's got to get further up the field. Christian Hausman was up into 16th earlier on, but he's now fallen to 17th. Has he burned the best out of those tyres? We don't know. But wow, the form is not written. Bearing in mind, yes, Starlek is running off into the distance, comparatively speaking, but he's got very little ERS energy. That is going to hurt him later on. And I reckon Sam Bean's in a real strong position here. He's just staying in the tyre tracks of Paris Burrow, who's using a fair amount of energy to try and keep up with Starlek and probably keep Sam Bean in check. But I reckon the Williams is in for a good shot at the win here.
He was actually trying to fight Paris Burrow just about this time at last lap, and he got over in towards turn number one this time. But as you can see, he's going to go an easy move for him in towards P2, and with Starlek not pulling a 5 second gap just yet, that means we will eventually be leading this Grand Prix. Of course, we can't count that. We can't count any chickens before they hatch. We've got to wait for another 31 laps of brilliant action so far. I really do have to commend the drivers for how they've driven. Hopefully I haven't jinxed that at all, but it's been really clean so far in this race. It's really polarising of the previous week in Spa, but with that battling between Samuel Bean and Paris Burrow, it's the Ferrari car in the clutches of the two behind him, of Rune Pedreño and Andreas Dormeyer, the sisters cars, as we've got a yellow
trouble!
It's Chanakinchi off into the gravel there, and I wonder if he's had any contact with anyone, and but he's got a lot of gravel on those tyres, and he will be hoping for a safety car at this point.
Yeah, he was facing the wrong way deep into the gravel trap at turn 8. Can't see any obvious damage to the car. The end plates are still there, so that may well have been an unforced error on the form of the Aston Martin. Oh dear, first victim there, but it's still going. I'm wondering when the soft runners are going to come in. I'm assuming they're going to come in the next kind of 3 to 4 laps, as a rough guess. But we will see. Starlek still trying to press on, but he's very nearly completely run out of that ERS battery. Yeah, I do keep going on about that, but it's a fair amount of horsepower he's needing to remain up front. And everyone behind him has got a lot of battery power. He has next to none. That is likely to bite him later on, but we will see. We don't know how this race is going to go. For all we know, the weather is going to change. There is a few clouds around, but nothing for the drivers to immediately worry about. As you mentioned earlier, Dan, there may well be a safety car as yet. We will see. Starlek leads by 1.8 seconds over Sam Bean. The Ferrari of Paris Burrow, pretty much equidistant between Sam and Ruben Pedreño, who himself has got Andreas Dormeyer for company. The top 5 fairly close, bit of a gap back to Louis Welch in 6th position, with Hawk with a big crowd behind him in 7th position.
Jari Fitz trying to look to the inside line. HF4K tried to go defensive there, but I think Jari Fitz, he was really committed with that move. He goes up the inside line in towards turn number 1. I wasn't actually expecting him for HX4K to defend like he did, but John Evans, he gave it all he could. It was futile against Jari Fitz. He slides his way up into 7th position as there's a spinner in the back is Boehner without a front wing. He could buy in. Has got no front wing at all. That is going to be a painfully long ride back to the pit lane to get that wing replaced, and even through turn number 7 it's agonisingly slow for the Williams car. That's another casualty, as I just actually realised we've seen already a pit stop. A helmetless Dylan Warren, he's just got his balaclava on in that car, but he is in 19th. He's pitted for a set of the medium compound tyres, and that is interesting. I'd actually say a bit early from him, and I don't think those mediums realistically have a chance to get to the end, so I think he's going to do a 2-stopper here.
Yeah, new front wing on the McLaren. I saw him come in and had a look. He had a new front wing go on, so I wonder whether it was him and Chanakinchi that came together of course, the Aston Martin to go off the road. We don't know, we didn't see, as Jeffrey Ritchie and Ulyssa Sildrim swap round into turn one. I think the best of the soft tyres has probably gone by now, as Boehner has managed to make it back. Like I said, that was a very painful drive for the Williams, but in he comes. New front ring. Words fail. Hard tyres going on to Boehner as well as the new front wing. Yeah, I'm with you. I cannot see those medium tyres on the McLaren lasting to the end of the race. But we will see. Stranger things have happened. But yeah, I would imagine with Boehner fitting the hard tyres, that's confirming a fully dry race to be expected. And he's likely to make it to the end. But those hard tyres being a good second off the pace of the softs, especially here where the lap is so short, that's going to be a long and painful drive for Boehner, I'd have thought. He'll be lucky to get into the points.
He's just got to hope for a safety car to bring him back into the action. It does give him a little bit more flexibility in that he is at the back of the grid, so possibly he could make a bit more outgoing, involved strategy call as Ulyssa Sildrim being overtaken by Shizu gets owned. It seems like the soft runner, the Aston Martin car, my prediction to win this race, is having a great drive so far, so it might have been a slight commentator's cursory on him as I'll hold my hands up there. I do apologise for that one. It seems like the closest battle on the circuit are actually for some of the top positions. Not too far off the back of Samuel Bean. I'm just quickly going to bring up the telemetry to check the batteries of these drivers, and now it's kind of flipped around for them because Samuel Bean's got just less than half of his ERS, and Parrot been able to save behind the winning car. He's almost on a full battery. He's on about 85 now. He's of course in the braking zone, it goes all the way up to 90. So I'd say Parrot is also in a very strong position here, and these drivers are going to be, I'd say, trying to work with each other to keep with Pierre Stanley, who's absolutely rocked away with this race so far, because he is 2.3 seconds ahead of Sam Bean in 11 laps. If he can keep up with this pace, then he'll be home happiest for HX4K. The first of the soft runners going to pit lane, and it's a time penalty for HX4K. Up to a set of the medium tyres for him. First corner, Neon just about looking up the rear of Ulyssa Sildrim, but it's Tom Martinez to go late on the brakes up the inside line of the Red Bull car. He can't find the move there. He gave it all he could, but Neon held his line, held very strong there. They're just fighting for another end position, but a really great effort from Tom Martinez to lead the Ultra runners.
That's the name of the game, isn't it? You got to get all these little adjustments. You got to work out these tiny little mistakes. Paris Burrell now really on Sam Bean's case. He's got that full battery. Yeah, exactly as you say. It's roles reversed from Sam Bean and Paris Burrell from when the Williams were behind the Ferrari. Now the Williams feeling the need to really deploy a lot of power, and he's now looking at a similar state of play to Starlag, who's actually done a pretty good job of maintaining around about between 10 and 20%. He's actually always had power to use, hasn't gone quite down to zero. I mean, it doesn't work too well. Sam Bean, oh no, he's done the same again. So he has medium tyres coming out for the soft runners. Starlag, interestingly, has chosen to continue along with Burrell, Dormeyer and Jari Fitz. Have all chosen to do another lap. What's Sildrim doing? He's chosen to go on. I'm surprised actually Ulyssa Sildrim has chosen to carry on because he's been really struggling on those soft tyres. So that is a little bit of a surprise, but everybody except for Boehner onto the medium tyres.
It's just so agonisingly painful there as Louis Welch looking onto the back of HX4K. They're going to run wheel to wheel and actually make contact between the pair of them through turn number 5 and turn 6. But Louis Welch just going to muscle him out of the way, and he's actually made that move very nicely. Just coming out the pit lane there, the Alpine car, he was behind HX4K. He managed to get the jump on Louis Welch out of the pit lane with the one-lap undercut, if I'm not mistaken. And he's done so well, Louis Welch, to make that one, as he is now up into a net P6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken. So really strong stuff from Louis Welch there, trying to take all the points he can for Alpine as he slides through turn number 10. As we got the next pit stopper, as Andreas Dormer actually sets the fastest lap, interestingly enough, on 12 lap old medium tyres, but Stanek and the outfit in the end. That just leaves a few of the soft runners out.
I think he's leaving that too long, in my opinion. As Adrian, he's just running those tyres needlessly long, but yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, great lap from Dormeyer. He's got that fastest lap by quite a way, I think. Just double check how much that is, if I get my buttons correct. Let's have a look. Well, comparatively by quite a way. So he's going to 1:11.155 for Dormeyer, whereas where's Dalek? Yeah. Oh, okay. He's taken that by 300ths of a second, so it wasn't as big a gap as I thought it was. But yeah, fair play to Dormeyer. So that'll be down to the slipstream that he's got behind the Ferrari. Are they coming in this time? The Ferrari does, the Red Bull does not, curiously. So Dormeyer is continuing on another lap. Well, if he can make it work, then fair play to him.
Absolutely, and while all that was happening, we've seen a brilliant battle between the likes of Luyu Elchiari Fitz